In this video, I'm going to show you how to hit the ball first and then the turf after when you're hitting your iron. It's the best way to get consistency, power and the best strike. What you don't want to be doing is hitting the ground first. You just lose so much power. I'm going to show you 3 very simple ways to help you strike ball and then turf every time. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw a line on the grass here. Now this is the athlete's foot powder spray that I actually use as well as spraying on the club face to show you strike. It's definitely worth picking up some. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw, move the ball out of the way for a second, a straight line here in the grass. Give that a second to go super white because that'll give us a great point of reference for where we're actually striking the ground in relation to the ball. So after a few seconds, the line goes super white. That's going to give us a really good point of reference to where the club's actually making contact in relation to our golf ball. It's good, this line, because even out on the golf course here, it'll kind of just wash away. Ideally on the practice ground, maybe even on a driving range mat, because it just kind of wipes off. It's just powder really. And what we're going to do is put the ball on the line, because what our goal would be is to hit the ball first, and then the only type of divot you're going to see is actually this side of the line. We do not want to be hitting anywhere in this section. If you're hitting this section, you're hitting too far behind the ball, and as I mentioned, that's where you're going to lose distance and strike. Hitting the ball first and the turf after is key. So once we've got this set up, then the next thing we're going to look at is number 1, making sure that our body through impact is moving towards the golf ball. If our body is leaning back as we come in to hit it, again, this is where you're going to hit behind the golf ball. So I've got a mid iron in my hand here, an 8 iron. So as I set up to this golf ball, I like to see ball position with 8 iron just in front of centre. And what I really look out for is making sure my sternum is over the top of the golf ball. Now for a lot of people that might feel like you've actually got a little bit more weight on your front leg. But as you see here, as I set up, I've got my sternum absolutely over the top of the golf ball. Because in my backswing, I want to make sure that this sternum, the middle of my chest, doesn't move too far to the right, but we do want it moving left coming down into the shot. So if I do my backswing here, I'm focusing my attention on keeping my center of my body absolutely over the golf ball and absolutely over that line. So backswing, it's really important to stay centered but turn the body. But then downswing, it's imperative that we get the body moving towards the target. It's important that we get the body to move around this front leg, because that is going to help you to strike the ball first and then the turf after. If you're holding your body weight too far on your right leg, as I mentioned, it's not going to be a good result. So what I want you to focus on, and you can do it next to the golf ball, but in line with the line that we've drawn on the floor, is practice a few motions like that. So staying centered in the backswing, but making sure as you come down in the golf swing that you're pushing weight onto your front leg as you rotate the hips and as you rotate the body. And as you can see there, as I do this even in slow motion, the bottom of my golf swing is going to take place much further beyond that line than if I kept my weight too far back. So I'm going to do a practice swing here, staying nice and central, rotating around that front leg on the way down. And as you see in my finish position, I have fully rotated around that left-hand side. And obviously that was just a practice swing, but come have a look at this. The divot that I took is comfortably past that line. So what we've got to do now is do that on the golf ball. So same rules apply. I'm going to stay centered going back, but on my way down, I'm going to rotate. I'm going to push weight into this front leg as I twist my hips and my shoulders, and you will see that my strike will take place past that line. That's where my golf ball was. I've exaggerated it a little bit, so I've hit ball first, and then I've taken that divot past the golf ball. That is going to stop you from ever hitting it fat. That's number 1, making sure you stay centered going back, make sure you get that weight moving left on the way through. Let's talk about simple tip number 2. So the second thing we need to look for is how we deliver the shaft angle into the golf ball. So if, for any reason, we end up leaning the golf club backwards as we come in to hit the shot, so we use the wrist in this manner, again, this is where you're gonna be catching the ground behind the golf ball. It's not what we want. So all I've done is I've replaced the golf ball for a minute with a T-peg, and let me just show you this. So I've just stuck a T-peg in the ground at an angle, about 45-degree angle, just post line. And what I want to practice and visualize is this feeling that as you're going to come into impact, you're having the club leaning forward in a manner to feel like you're trying to hit that T-peg more into the ground. So it's this feeling that you're trying to get the handle of the golf club forward, and you're trying to get the club head to hit the T-peg down into the ground. If you were to have a hammer and you were trying to hit that T-peg in the ground, you'd hit down on it. You wouldn't particularly try and hit up on the T-peg, because that would incline you're going to try and hit the T-peg out of the ground. So have a few visuals and practice ideas of feeling like you're trying to come into the golf ball with the shaft leaning forward, and the club's going to hit more down into that T-peg, because again, that's going to really encourage you to strike the ball first and the turf after. So number two, make sure as you're coming to hit the ball, the club is leaning forward. Get this feeling that you're going to try and hit the ball lower in flight, but you won't, because you're going to hit it better. You'll actually hit it much higher. So number two, make sure you lean that golf club forward. That way you're going to strike the ball first and then the turf after. And again, I've taken that divot past that line. I'm getting that good strike. I'm exaggerating those feelings to make sure I hit the ball first and then the ground after. Let's move on to tip number three. So before we come on to this last point that's really going to help you hit ball first and turf after, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any videos to help you play better golf. The final tip is talking about what we do with this trail shoulder, what we do with this, for me as a right-handed golfer, my right shoulder. This is where a lot of golfers, again, will just, unfortunately, make this shoulder go more downwards. And as it's going downwards into the golf ball, that again is where you're going to end up hitting behind this white line that we've drawn out. It's where you're going to hit the ball, the ground first, and then the ball after. What you want to be doing with this back shoulder is getting this feeling as you're coming through the golf ball that this back shoulder is rotating beyond the golf ball and then turning into a really high finish position. As you can see, I'm letting that right arm go almost past the golf ball as I come in to hit it, and then rotate into a really high finish position. If you do a recording of yourself or record your video, your swing, or have a mate do it, if you're noticing your shoulders dropping downwards this way, that's when you're going to hit the ground behind the ball, and then, sorry, you're going to hit the ground first and then the ball after. So as a feeling, I want you to get the sensation that your right shoulder is rotating beyond the golf ball and then finishing in a high position as the ball is flying towards the target. That is how you're going to strike the ball first and then the turf after every single time. Guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, lots more to come, and we'll see you next time.